was a good week in fantasy football for some players. Now, last week I did a breakdown for week 2, and the video thing it says week 3, but it's week 2. Best believe this is the official breakdown for week 3 for fantasy football. Let's get right into it. My biggest fantasy heroes, my unsung hero, and my biggest fantasy losers. Let's break it down right now. Got to start off with Caleb Williams. Had a fantastic performance with how this offense is looking, how prolific it is. The playmakers are just wide open. Caleb looks confident once he's playing in structure like he did against the Cowboys. I know it's a Cowboys defense, but if he continues to play under structure, trust Ben Johnson and his scheme, he's going to put up big numbers all season. 4 passing touchdowns. He's QB2 right now in fantasy football, so he's like second in the NFL in passing touchdowns. So this is a phenomenal start to the season for Caleb Williams, and I think it only gets better as he gets more confident in this offense. So Joe Burrow, a lot of quarterback injuries. Daniel Jones has been a riser in fantasy football, but Caleb Williams is one of the biggest fantasy risers at the quarterback position. Make sure to start him if he's in your bench, or just lean into him being your guy for the rest of the season, because this guy is getting hot right now. The game against Dallas was the beginning game for something great this season. Jonathan Taylor, this is RB1 in fantasy. 32.8 points last week. He's going to get the rushing title this season. This Colts offense is leaning into him as their playmaker, as their number one go-to guy. He's running effectively. He looks like, the Jonathan Taylor that we used to love. He's getting back to that. The offensive line has been great. Daniel Jones has been taking care of the ball. The defense has been playing well. So this offense is kind of molding itself to run through Jonathan Taylor. So if this is your guy, be happy you drafted him. You probably got him with the steal too, because he wasn't one of the top picks in the draft. He's a number 1 running back in fantasy right now. Big reward getting him. Right now, if the season ended, he'd probably be MVP of the NFL season right now. So it's going to be a great year for Jonathan Taylor. Be happy if you drafted him. My next winner, Minnesota Vikings defense. Now, this is a phenomenal defense. Last year, they were one of the best defenses in the NFL. This year, they might be even better. And Isaiah Rodgers, have yourself a day. A forced fumble recovery for a touchdown, interception, pick 6. So 2 defensive touchdowns by him. He was on a clinic. 37 points by this Vikings defense against Jake Browning and the Bengals. This week they have the Pittsburgh Steelers, an older Aaron Rodgers. I think they could put up another clinic, maybe not 37 points, but this is a defense that's going to score a lot of points for you. They get after the quarterback at a high level. They only gave up 10 points to the Bengals offense. I know the Bengals offense is one of the worst in the NFL. They can't run the ball, can't pass the ball, whatever. But this Vikings defense has the potential to be this year's fantasy best defense. And they have playmakers. They have guys that could score touchdowns. Van Ginkel is somebody that had a couple interceptions for touchdowns last season. So this is a defense that blitzes a lot. This is a defense that gets after the quarterback at a high level. They get interceptions. So have trust in the Vikings defense as your starting unit moving forward. If you're one of those people that don't like to just, pick the best defensive matchups for the season and just continue rotating your defense, have trust in the Vikings. They'll get you through the season. My unsung hero, Cam Scatterboo, went crazy against the Chiefs. Not a lot of running backs have success against the Chiefs, but he had a nice rushing touchdown, was nice in the receiving game. He even looked like CMC. These weeks he's getting more and more opportunity. He's a receiving threat. He's a bruising running back. He's good in pass protection. He's an all 3 down back. Now with Tyron Tracy missing some time, Scatterboo, the workload is all his. You even forget Devin Singletary's on this team, but Scatterboo is going to bring energy to this team. He's already done it so far. With Jackson Dart being the starting quarterback now, they're going to lean a lot on Scatterboo to run the ball. Jackson Dart's going to throw some dink and dunks down to Scatterboo to help him get more confident. So I see Scatterboo's usage going up a lot higher. Right now, I think he's projected to score 14 points this week. I think that could go even higher. He could put up another 20-point performance. Had 24.1 fantasy points against the Chiefs. Really good defense. So I expect even better production from Scatterboo. Really love what I've been seeing from him. He consistently can make something out of nothing. He's more elusive than we thought. Like this guy making jump cuts, breaking tackles, trucking guys, falling for extra yardage. He can do it all. Pass protection, like I said, he's great. Out the backfield, he can make plays. This is Peyton Hillis on steroids, I think. This is a more sustainable Peyton Hillis. So I'm excited for Scatterboo to continue to blossom into the player he could be. And perfect Giants player. Now let's get into my losers. Let's start off with Troy Franklin. Now, Troy Franklin was a waiver wire, highly suggested guy. In my fantasy breakdown, I made a video about him, saying how good he could be. Number 2 receiver for the Broncos. But this Broncos offense, you can't trust anybody on this unit. Bo Nix has been very inconsistent. All the weapons for the Broncos will, be victim of that. The offense really hasn't been as productive as we thought it would be. A lot of struggles all across the board. Offensive line has been decent. J.K. Dobbins is pretty good. But Troy Franklin, 24 points in week 2. and 2.8 points in week 3. So a huge drop off. He's projected to score like 7 points, 6 points every week now after his week 3 performance. So this is a guy, if you added him to your waiver wire, you're excited about adding him, drop his ass immediately. Drop him, get a Trey Tucker, get somebody else that's more reliable. Because I don't see him going back to putting up high production. You just really can't trust his Broncos offense with Bo Nix. There's really huge cause for concern for Troy Franklin. I would drop him. Even more cause for concern for another player, Chase Brown, running back position, 47 carries so far, 93 yards in 3 games. This run offense for the Bengals has been terrible. This passing attack is ass too. So the Vikings in that game, they were stacking the box. Bengals had no answer. Bengals had no answer. So far, I mean, 0.3 yards per carry against Minnesota for Chase Brown, 2.9 yards per carry against Jacksonville, not the best defense. And he's had negative 54 yards before contact. This Bengals offense line is piss poor. The interior guys are not getting any push. And Jake Browning is kind of, limiting this offense as well. So Chase Brown, Bengals weapons, cause for concern for T. Higgins, Jamar Chase. I don't know how much faith I would put in those guys to save me and be dominant receivers with Jake Browning at quarterback and a 0 run game. Chase Brown especially, I'd drop his ass. I did drop his ass. So I don't think it'll get any better for him in this Bengals offense. I think this is what we'll see from them this year. That'd be very disappointing because Chase Brown came into the season as one of those underrated gems, a guy that could win you your league. And he's been somebody that's going to cost you your matchups every week. The next loser I have is Marvin Harrison. 7.4 fantasy points this week. People expected a bounce back game from him after week 2 where he had two catches for 27 yards, and he followed that up with 3 catches for 44 yards. Only 6 targets total, so he's not getting the targets he's supposed to. The route tree he's running is not the same as he was in college, so he looks like a shell of himself. He does not look like that same dominant Ohio State receiver, and that's big part to this offensive coordinator not setting him up for success. That's big part into Kyler Murray's struggles, and that's big part to Marvin Harrison dropping every pass. So it's just been a very disappointing season for Marvin Harrison Jr. Really don't like what I've seen from him so far. I mean, he's fallen behind the totem pole. You see Roma Dunze putting up big numbers. Malik Neighbors still putting up big numbers. So he's going from, being that generational receiver to, kind of approaching, not yet, but maybe bust territory. So disappointing year for him. And if you have him in fantasy, I'd be cautious as hell. I would probably bench him this week, see what he does if he puts up big production, then put him back in the lineup. But I would not have any trust in Marvin Harrison to help me win my matchup.
Some people thought the NFC North was going to be the worst division in football this season. They thought it was going to be as bad as the NFC South.